Okay, our four minifigures for the set are Zora Bennett, Martin Krebs, Duncan Kincaid, and Dr. Henry Loomis. Besides Henry Loomis, all of our figures here have something that I really appreciate, whether it's with their sleeves or with their torsos going on with the chest. They all have that exposed to show something. It's to show that they are in this tropical humid climate, which is really important. Not only are all of them very accurate to what we've seen so far in the trailers, but this is something important that could be used for stop motions and mocks later on, whether it's a Jurassic Park / world or some other sort of theme that may work with the jungle style. Okay, Zora Bennett, her torso kind of reveals some body armor. She has the rope at the bottom for her climbing up this temple. And then on the back, she has a backpack that is printed onto her torso. And there is her relaxed face. Martin Krebs, again, really appreciate his exposed torso there to show they are in this tropical climate. He does have some mud and dirt splotches on the front and back. There is his relaxed face, which is nice to see that he is kind of in a tough situation. He could be fleeing these dinosaurs. He could be stuck in the jungle or in a bottom part of the temple. Duncan Kincaid, his torso has plenty of creases and pockets. I like the green belt that is attached to his torso, not his pants. His face is very detailed with his cheek lines showing, as well as his goatee and his small mustache there. So that was really nice, and he does have a backpack accessory, along with Dr. Henry Loomis, who also has a backpack accessory. I love his torso that shows the shirt under the vest. I would just like if the sleeves had some sort of printing on them as well, but I'll still take the solid accurate torso. His glasses are very nice with that kind of silver sheen in the light. I love the beard, the facial hair. It would be nice if these eyebrows were in a dark brown, but I still think the fact that they are darker in color works. This is his kind of aggravated face, and if I pull it off there, you can see his kind of curious, relaxed face there. So overall, these are solid minifigures. I really think the torsos are what stands out for them. They're very accurate and they fit not only with the climate they're in, but the movie scenes that we've seen from trailers and shorts so far. So here is the helicopter vehicle for this set. I'm just going to say that I usually, when I was younger, kind of back like 8-10 years ago, I would collect the Lego City sets. One of them was like the Forest Police Outpost, and they would usually have helicopters of this size, but they wouldn't be detailed like this one. Their landing skids would be really basic. It would be that solid piece. So I always enjoy any helicopter that has a detailed landing skid like this one does. I do like these Technic pieces being used, give it a bulkier size, something I really appreciate. These rotor blades at the top and the side were well done. I like how this one's a little bit thicker and it has these yellow pieces off to the sides, as well as these slanted slabs, these slab tiles that are kind of cut on the edges, okay, to kind of give it a better rotational slide there. Okay, the cockpit piece is pretty basic. I do like using this bucket handle as the control wheel here. It is always nice to use that. I feel like it's a little bit more detailed than just the basic steering wheels that are used in the driving vehicles. And I also like this Spinosaurus little electronic screen at the top, because it just fits better that somebody's getting a view of the Spinosaurus from above, because that's most likely their safest bet, whether it's in the off-terrain vehicle or on the helicopter. I feel like this is just something good to add. It should be in the vehicle because that's where they're monitoring these dangerous animals. And then you have the shooters off to the side that shoot the yellow studs. This could be a tranquilizer, it could be lethal, I'm not sure. it's still okay that they included that. And then you have the sticker piece. This one was pretty easy to put on both of the markers for the vehicle. I do really enjoy that these cupcake dish pieces are now used as kind of, I guess, their exhaust in the back on both sides. It's a nice little detail, little touch to add. Overall, I really think this is a solid build for what you get. Like most of what I've talked about so far in the set, it is pretty durable. Like if you drop it, you play around with it. If there's a kid who's playing around with this set, it's not going to break and damage because of it being one solid piece. These parts are interlocked in a pretty solid way to make sure that you can have some kind of roughhouse play. Again, they're reaching out most likely to a boy audience, so the boys are going to want to play around with all the components in this set. And so far, something that I've seen is just that this is well constructed Lego. Alright, here is the off-terrain vehicle for this set. There's a lot to look at here that really makes it a standout vehicle to go with the helicopter. So you have on the back a hitch in case you wanted to attach a trailer. The Jurassic World Dominion sets had some trailers that you could attach here to use in this one. You have some InGen stickers as well as the car's number on both sides. Okay, these were easier to put on than the top piece here. Okay, that one took a little bit more of adjusting just because it was a slanted hood piece there. You do have dual handlebars off to the side for characters who are making a quick escape and need to desperately grab onto the moving vehicle. That could be great for some mocks or for some stop motion shots. And then I do like the lights at the top of this hood piece along with the dual antennas. You also, let me just pull off this guard bar here. We'll see a few times come up these slanted tile pieces more. I believe these are a little bit of new elementary here. I haven't seen them often, and I think they work well with this set. And I really do like that Jurassic World is going back with this movie with the tan and red mixture for these vehicles. It kind of goes back to early Jurassic Park style, and I think it looks nice for this one. You have in the back here, you have a window that the driver and the passenger can look out to see if there's something or someone in the back there. And they rest this hood piece on these 2x1 with the slider pieces. That way it can easily pop on and off. Okay. And then you do have a supply crate with a sticker piece, which is not so bad to go on. Even if it kind of slants a little bit, it still looks fine because mine's a little bit slanted. But if you pop off the cover here, there is some communication networks here as well as some tranquilizer pieces. And then Zora's little, let me just grab it here. Zora's little radar for the Quetzalcoatlus can actually go on the back of the truck too if you just stick the peg on this jumper. And that's what I just did, so the driver can hold the wheel. Overall, I really enjoyed this truck. Like the helicopter too, it's very sturdy. If somebody's going to play around with it, drops it a few times, so only things that are going to probably pop off are the antennas at the top. Otherwise, most of this is going to stay together. So this is another solid vehicle for the set. Here is the Quetzalcoatlus figure for this set. It's the same model that we got from the Jurassic World Dominion set as well back in, was it 2 years ago or so. Nothing really crazy besides the color patterns just being different. It's got a bluish gray theme with some orange stripes on the wings, under the eyes and neck, along with the beak. The beak does have a splash of tan in the middle as well. So do I prefer this one over the other one? Well, I don't really like either figures. I think they're too big, they're too chunky. They don't position well on sets. Even at this massive temple, I don't have a good spot to position it to attack figures without it collapsing, falling all over the place. But I do prefer this one if I'm just looking at the colors, because that's the only thing that is different. I don't really care for the one from the Dominion set, because I can barely see the eye with that shade of blue. I also don't like the solid white with it as well. Even if it was movie accurate, it just seems a little bit too cartoonish to me. This one fits a little bit better in mock stop motions if you can use it, because of just the more comfortability with the colors. So am I a fan of this? Not really. Do I prefer it over the other one? Yes. Let's look at the Jungle Temple. So this was a blast to build. I personally hold a bunch of Lego Lord of the Rings in Indiana Jones sets. I kind of follow the same structure with the temple of the stone slabs and the mossy detail on the sides as well. So I really enjoyed that factor. You have two little side builds. You have the fountain and you have the rock wall that characters can climb up. You also have a little dock to go next to this waterfall fountain here, and characters can go through and walk on this dock inside as well. You have a nice little amber piece with the mosquito inside, just as some detail to show that they're in a prehistoric cave. You also have a nice little sticker piece at the bottom here for when the waterfall breaks. This one was a little tough to put on, but not compared to some of the others. And that's just got a little hinge clip there, and it falls back onto a 4x1 smooth tile, so it can rest easily. Okay, and then you have the rock climbing wall that has these 1x1 studs with the handles on them, so that characters can actually grip onto them and show themselves kind of climbing up to get to the surface of that temple. Okay, and then you have some of those olive green slabs, those roof tile slabs that kind of give it that nice jungle terrain. Okay, both of these sections have on the back a 4x1 Technic plate with some pins that you can slide them in, and then you can use a 2x2 gray curved tile to kind of lock them in when you're done. Okay, so I'll put them in now without hopefully breaking. One last thing for the rock wall on the back, you actually have some of, it looks like cave art from ancient civilizations, which could possibly show up in a scene in the movie. So I'm going to click those in, okay, and then you have the spots to connect them, to lock them, which is always nice. That way you can carry this and kind of move it around without having to worry about these sliding out. Okay. And what's nice about the features that we'll see here is that they're either hidden or they're built into the set. So you have this kind of like rustic chain where when you pull it inside comes down a trap. Again, I said at the earlier part of this that it's like an Indiana Jones set, that Raiders of the Lost Ark Temple, very similar. It had some of these same mechanics with those booby traps set. So when you pull on the chain, the gear will release and the trap will drop down. The mechanics, okay? And you have to kind of pull it in order for it to go down, because if you let go instantly, if I push it back up and you let go and then just release the chain, it will catch back on with the gear, and then it will kind of just stay there like slanted, and it won't fully go down. Okay, so that may be one little problem I see with it, but overall I do think it's a fun, simple little mechanic. On the back of the top of the surface of the temple, you see this little branch, and when you pull it, it will disrupt and damage all of the top here. Okay, and it will fall down. And this is something really nice for when you have the Quetzalcoatlus, which will most likely come up and attack the characters who are involved in disrupting its nest. Okay, they're very easy to put back on because you have these either smooth tiles or these jumper pieces that don't allow it to get very snug with connection. Okay, looking through the back of the temple inside, there's not really anything at all. You have some of these stickers for some of these idols on the back. That's really it. The exterior is what's really focused on for the temple, and I'm okay with that as long as it was detailed properly, which it most certainly was. One thing that I do critique besides the little bit of the trap at the bottom would be the nest at the top. I do like that they had these vines growing out of the side, but I would like to have more of like a circular or oval shape for the nesting. When I did my stop motion earlier on with it, I enjoyed the nest I built because I made sure to include as much of these dried up branches and sticks to kind of show like that bird resemblance of how it most likely would create its nest. But still, the fact that they have a nest up here for characters to wander upon and take samples is still very important. So overall, I think the temple is a great build. It's nice and strong, like you can move it around. It won't break apart. Pieces are locked in. These curved tiles are always a sturdy piece to use and they don't usually snap off. And I think that's going to be helpful. Again, if a kid's going to get this set, they're going to want to move it around. They're going to want to be a little bit rough with it. And this one you certainly can. So the temple is awesome, and let's go through some more parts of this. And here's the main attraction obviously for the set. It is the new styled Spinosaurus. So I'm going to go through everything for this one, and then I'll compare it with the oldest Spinosaurus that we actually got from Lego that is Jurassic Park themed, and then I'll compare it with the bootleg one that I painted earlier on to just see what may be better or may be a little bit weaker compared to those. Okay, so starting off, it's heavy. Like, it's heavier compared to the ones that I picked up and got ready for this review, and I like that. I like that it has a little bit more weight to it, so it won't be flopping all around all over the place. And I think a lot of that obviously comes from the body with this sail part attached. The head is very detailed. I don't know, I'm assuming that this is a skin pattern. It's not scars because it's on both sides, so that should be interesting when we see this come up in the movie. There are some scalings that go along the eye, and I do like that menacing look in the eye too. Hopefully this reappears in bright green when we possibly see this in a Jurassic Park 3 set. Only fingers crossed for that. The jaw is nice. I like that rigid part at the end there to give it that crocodile structure. And then you do have the jaw that is used for the baryonyx as well as the allosaurus. The arms are all one piece and all one color. They're very articulate. You can have the Spinosaurus grip something here, and you could put like a little snap hinge or a little snap 1x1 piece on here so it could grip something like a fish, or I'm not sure, like a hunk of meat for it to eat. What's interesting is on the body right before the sail, you have a 2x1 slot here. Now you could probably, I know you could fit a minifigure standing here, but if you bend the head down, you could fit a minifigure sitting, and you could possibly build a small platform if you wanted to do some like human dinosaur civilization or some Dinotopia style set or mock there. The legs are a little bit underwhelming because there's no scale patterns and there's no marks with them. So like their arms, they're all one piece. I would like them to continue just a little bit of that scaling to run down the sides if they're not going to give us those claw marks or those black tips on the claws. Okay, I thought this tail was a flexible piece where it would bend all around, but it actually isn't. It does have a curve in it, but it is not flexible enough. It is a rubber piece, but it stays in the position it is. You can tilt it to the left or the right, but the thickness to it and the fact that it has part of this spine going down here is really nice. I like that they continue that yellow pattern, and unlike figures and other animals we've seen before, the pattern with that yellow on the tail matches the pattern on a sail, and I always think that's something that's important. I really don't like it when the color printing doesn't match, but in this case you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so comparing it to the one we got in the early 2000s, yeah, huge difference there. Okay, the size is different, the detail in that skull is super important. I'm not going to constantly rag on this early 2000s one. If you look at the early 2000s ones, the body and the legs along with that sail and even on the head there is really detailed with that color pattern. I think that sail is just absolutely amazing with how the red, blue, and white all blend together, and then that orange on top. There are some things to really like besides just the nostalgic part from it. Also, what's nice about the one from the early 2000s, it's got a tongue. It uses that old style crocodile head, but it does have a tongue to kind of give this a little bit more of a realistic feel with those parts of the body there. You don't have a tongue with the Spinosaurus for the new one. So there are some things to like from this older style, even though it's really, really outdated. If we look at the bootleg one, it's a little bit different. Okay, so it's going to be a little glossy with my camera. I apologize for the hodgepodge that I used to kind of make sure the paint would stay on it. But the bootleg one doesn't come out of the question either. One thing I really like about the bootleg one is the head and the jaw. Okay, this one kind of resembles more of the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus because it's able to kind of fit figures in better, and it's showing the real strength and bulkiness of the head of that figure. Also, I do like the tail being kind of resembling that one from the Indominus Rex, the Giga, and the T-Rex, but it just having that little bit of spiked ridge on top. I think the tail is nice here because it works with Spinosaurus being aquatic, but if we go back to the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus later on in a set, I would definitely like to see the tail that the bootleg one introduced as well. So I think the head compared to the one, comparing the head for the bootleg and the new updated Lego Spinosaurus, I do like the bootleg one a little bit better because I just feel the Lego Spinosaurus's head is a little small when interacting with figures. It doesn't really give it its true strength and dominance in the appearance, but I still think the Lego one does a good job showing how it's crocodilian-like with those curves in the bottom and top of the jaw. So overall, of course, I love all the Spinosauruses that I have, but I do think the Lego one wins by a small margin, and it just could be because of recency bias, but I really do like what they did with the sail, with the tail, and the printing with the scaling. If they did a little bit more of that and they printed those claws, this would be a perfect figure. But just the fact that they went a little bit lazy on that, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, especially this being a $160 set. This should be something that's easily included and shouldn't be skimped on. Also, since we've gotten it for the past 10 years. Here are some of the accessories that you will see with the figures. So you have some tranq guns, flashlights, binoculars, camera. Then you have this flare gun. This is something really nice. I have yet to see this pistol in this orange until this set, so it was good to see, and I'll show you something in a second which is even nicer. And this little machete. And after going through the set, I always like to show off some of the spare parts that they give you. What's really nice is you get an extra one of those flare guns. You get one of these detailed little flower plants in that olive green. You get this rod here with the stud stopper. It's always nice to get an extra one of those. You get an extra machete, a yellow tranq dart, a silver animal tooth. So there are some great spare parts that you will get. I always enjoy getting these curved, circular, or sliced tiles because those help with scales when I do buildable animals, or when I do some sort of detailed terrain. So a good hefty amount of spare parts as well. Thank you everybody who has watched up to this point. I would recommend picking up this set eventually. I know the price is high, but the side builds, main builds, and all the figures included do make it worth the value. Please consider checking out the rest of my content on the page. It would help a lot, and I will see you in the next one.